Sorry, I'm wired. My name is Earl. I'm an alcoholic. Hi. Do we need this? We do? Lisa's looking at me like, oh God, what is he going to do? I'll leave it alone, I promise. Like I said, my name is Earl. I'm an alcoholic. It's an honor and a privilege to be here. A great honor to be here. I have friends in the room that some I haven't seen in a long time. It's just great. I just got to break bread with friends downstairs. I've had a wonderful trip since I've been here. As some of you know and others of you find out, I absolutely hate to fly. I'm a terrified flyer. This is my friend Lisa. Say hi to Lisa.
Use that.
Use that? Not this? This isn't working?
No, that's just for the tape.
That's for the tape.
Don't leave it on off.
That's for the tape. Some on. Come on. For Wendy. Like I said, I hate to fly, and I left L.A. I realized all this while sitting on the plane waiting to taxi out. I got on an American Airlines flight in Los Angeles that was headed for New York on Friday the 13th. Yeah. On Friday the 13th, pretty soon I'm going to end up back here, headed for New York. Now, being a terrified flyer, you add all that up, and I was exhausted when I got here. Is there a lot of feedback on this? Closer? That's never happened to me before. I don't know what to do about this. It's never happened to me before. Sorry. All right, we're misbehaving already. All right. So anyway, I got here in a nice hotel, had dinner with a good friend, got up this morning, met another very good friend of mine over down at Ground Zero and paid my respects, said prayers for myself and some friends of mine who asked me to carry their prayers here. Did so. Had lunch again with friends, back to the hotel, relaxed a little, and down here to see even more friends. So it's been a great trip so far. I've really enjoyed myself and love being here. And we'll do anything for Hazelden. I think it's a great place. So I drank. And it just didn't go well. You know what I mean? Did not go well. I did not drink until I was 12. I held off as long as I possibly could, man. I had been restless, irritable, and discontented for quite some time prior to that first drink. But they did an IQ test on me when I was like 12 years old. Turned out I had this real high IQ. I don't have it anymore, so I'm not bragging. Gone a long time. And so they decided it was time for me to become a man, so I was shipped off to boarding school. And how I went to boarding school was my father walked in my room and said, "Get in the car." All right, got in the car and caravan of relatives. We drove, ended up in front of this place. I got out of the car, my father got out of the car, nobody else got out of the car. He walked over, put a suitcase down next to me, shook my hand, said, "This will make a man out of you," and got back in the car, and they all left. Now, the fact is, I was being given an opportunity for a wonderful education. Held me in good stead for this very day. The feeling was that I'd just been thrown away by the people who knew me best in the world, and I didn't know what I'd done wrong. I didn't know why they'd thrown me away. Emotionally, it was a devastating moment for me. And I cried for 3 days and called my family and asked them to let me come home. Now, talking to my mother, saying, "I hate this, let me come home." You hear my father in the background, "Hang up." She said, "Gotta go." And after 3 days, it was like something broke inside me, and I said, "You know what? You don't want me, I don't want you." I turned my back on my family, and I pretty much never went back. And 3 days into school, the school was 250 boys. They'd scoured the earth to find 250 of the brightest, most disturbed young boys they could find. They put us all on this campus. It was like Lord of the Flies in this place, right? Strange place. And everybody was 13 to 18, and I was 12. I was the youngest and the smallest kid in the whole school. So I knew I didn't belong there. I mean, there were teenagers there, and I was not a teenager. I was 12. I did not fit in. I did not belong there. I hated this place. 3 days into it, I met Tiny. Every high school's got a guy named Tiny, right? He's 6'4", 240. Plays guard on the football team. And he found me, and he came up and said, "How you doing, punk?" And he slapped me in the back of the head and sent me and my books flying. And I had this out-of-body experience where you're watching yourself do something while your head's saying, "It's a real bad idea." And I walked up and I hit him as hard as I could. And he looked down at me and he said, "You know what, kid? You got a lot of guts." And he beat the hell out of me on the spot, right? And as I'm taking this beating, I'm thinking, this is going pretty good. This is going well. Because the fact that I'd taken a beating in my life, I knew how to do that. The fact is, I was terrified of Tiny, and he had said, "You got a lot of guts." My violence had masked the fear. He didn't think I was afraid. My first tool for living was, when frightened, attack. And as a result, I led a very, very violent life. Not because I'm a tough guy or a bad guy, but because I was a very, very self-centered, frightened human being. I went back to my dorm room after that, waiting for the bleeding to stop. Word spreads like wildfire across this campus. Watch out for this little Hightower kid. He's a maniac. He attacked Tiny, right? So now I got this reputation that's got absolutely nothing to do with who I am. And my world's just getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And the cool guys start coming around because they want to find out who the new maniac is, right? So they swing by. So this guy, Matt, swings by, sticks his head in my door, and he goes, "Hey, you want to smoke a joint?" And I looked at him and I said, "Well, yeah, I do, Matt." And I had absolutely no idea what he was talking about. I had no idea what that meant. All I heard was, "You want to hook up with us?" And the answer was, yeah. I'm alone in the universe as far as I can tell. Do I want to? Yeah, he could have come by and said, "Look, we're going to go kill the Spanish teacher. Do you want to come?" I would have said, "I'm with you. Let's go." So me and Matt wander down the dorm, and he picks up Steve along the way. And Steve's got a Tupperware container full of cheap red wine. Like no grapes involved red wine, you know what I mean? The fortified stuff. Very good. Very good. We get behind the dorm. I'm standing there, two 13-year-olds and a 12-year-old, children. Total strangers. Knots on my head, right? He takes a hit on the joint, hands it to me. I did what he did. Burn my lungs. I don't like that. I do not like that. Here comes the wine. Took a pull on this cheap wine. Burned down into my stomach, right? Oh, right? And here comes the joint again. Yeah, well, all right. 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 And this is going on, and I'm thinking, my life sucks. Right? I'm 12 years old. I've been thrown away by my family, put in this hellhole, right? There's Tinies out there somewhere, right? I'm standing with these two total strangers. They're burning my lungs. They're burning my stomach. I got absolutely nothing better to do. I hate my life, right? And I mean, just like that, it happened. That thing that makes me bodily different from my fellows occurred. And suddenly, I'm comfortable. This feeling just kind of wafted up over me, and suddenly, I'm comfortable standing where I'm standing, doing what I'm doing with the people I'm doing it with. Never felt like that before in my life. I feel terrific. And I don't know, is it the pot? Is it the wine? Is it the fact that I'm standing here with my two very close personal friends, Matt and Steve? Because I'm feeling that, you know? I'm feeling that connection. I don't know, and I don't care. I'm here, and I like it. And I'm looking around. I'm paying attention, because I've heard, you smoke that evil weed, you're going to want heroin within 30 minutes. You drink that evil rum, you're going to be riding the rails like a hobo, shiftless, and it won't never amount to anything. I'm standing there and thinking, I don't feel like going downtown. I don't feel like catching a train either. I feel good right here with my good friends, Matt and Steve. I feel good. So good. Family, school. Not a problem anymore. Knots on my head, not an issue. Where's Tiny? Bring him on. Right? My problems are solved. Right here, right now. My problems are solved, and nobody's dying. Nobody's going to jail. Nobody's going to the nut house. No blood is drawn. All these things are going to happen, but they're not. That's not my experience at this moment. Based on my experience at that moment, I found the secret to life for me. I'm wondering why nobody told me about this sooner. Couple pulls on the cheap red wine, couple hits off a joint, I'm good to go. And I got up the next morning, no harm, no foul, no wreckage of any kind, went on about my business. But it was a whole new day. Because during the course of that night, I made a commitment to myself that I need to drink and use as often as I possibly can, which turned into every day for the next 16 years, no matter what. And along that path, there were many, many, many good reasons to stop along the way, and I never touched the brakes. Because if they talk about how we cross a line into addiction. Well, I think it's here. That's the line is right there. And the minute right in front of my lips, man, I drink, it's on. I've crossed the line, here we go. My life is no longer my own, man. And that was pretty much the way it was. It's humble beginnings, a little pot, a little wine, 13 with pills, any kind of pills. Only reason I took a pill was because I was hanging out with these guys. This guy said, would you like a couple of these pills? And I said, well, yeah, I would. He gave me 2 pills. 20 minutes later, I'm laying on the floor, and I'm very, very happy down there. I can't remember what I was so upset about just moments ago. Guy comes by and says, can we get you anything, Earl? And I just said, what do you call that? He said, Tuinol. I said, huh? Tuinol. Ask for that beauty by name right there. That's a beauty. I got strung out on Tuinol, Seconol, Placidil, all that stuff, right? I mean, I remember the last time I kicked Placidil, and I couldn't even talk. I mean, I'd been there like 10 days, and how you doing, Earl? Oh, you're better. Good. Nasty, man. 14 with psychedelics. The only reason I dropped acid is because I was hanging out on a 10-hour pass in this boarding school with this girl named Debbie. Debbie was a bad girl. And an older woman. She was 15 and a half. And I had such respect for Debbie, man. I mean, more ways than one. Debbie was a real eye-opener for me. And Debbie said, you want to drop some acid? And I said, well, yes, I do, Debbie. Again, I have no idea what we're talking about. I never did. So she pulls out a lipstick tube and spins the lipstick up, and there's a little pill on the end. And I thought to myself, she's clever as well. That's very clever. And I took the pill and threw it in my mouth and swallowed it. And Debbie said, did you take that whole thing? And I said, well, yes, Debbie. It was a very small pill. It's these horse caps I've been knocking down, right? She says, that was 3 hits of Wild Lightning. Oh, right over here. Little identification out over here just went, oh, no. Very bad decision. What do I know? I just said, well, what's done is done, Debbie. Right? Well, needless to say, the next 2 days were very interesting, right? I mean, at one point I came to kind of this acid blackout, and Debbie and I are in this market, and we got a cart, and we're pretending we're married. And I looked over to her and I said, do we have any children? And she said, yes, we have 2. I said, then we're going to need these diapers right here. And then blacked back out. And I don't remember much else, just to say that to this day, going into a market, it requires a real commitment on my part. I have to be very, very focused with a list of what I'm going to purchase. I'm in, I'm out. Because I cannot hang in the market, man. Way too many decisions need to be made in there. I mean, you want corn? No problem. It's in aisle 2. They got 5 kinds of corn there. You can pick between the 5 kinds there. And somewhere over there in the produce is the corn on the cob, and they got the white, and they got the yellow, and they got the Mexicorn thing, and they got the green corn. It's like, screw it. I'll come back another time. I mean, have you seen the abandoned cart in the markets? I understand that guy. Coming back another time, man. I get it. I don't like going. I don't like it. I still don't like it. Anyway, 15 was. I did about 650 acid trips. Now, I got classified legally insane by the military, but that's a whole other story. 15, I started shooting dope. The only reason I shot dope is because I was on a boat in Marina Del Rey, California, and a woman named Cammie, lovely woman, came up to me and said, Earl, how would you like me to stick this in your body for you? And I said, well, of course I would. So Cammie hit me, and it was one of those shots where you just go, I remember thinking on the way down, oh yeah, that'll work. That's excellent, right? And I mean, to me, it's just another color in my paint box, It's another color in my paint box that I'm going to wake up every morning, I'm going to open my paint box, and I'm going to say, what picture are we painting today? What combination are we going to get working here? It doesn't really matter because it's all anti-Earl medication. If I can get enough of what, my drug of choice is, what do you got? If I can get enough of what you got in my body, I can kill the fear. Because that is the whole point, isn't it? I got to make it possible for me to be able to breathe in and out and leave the house. And it requires a good deal of alcohol and drugs for that to occur for somebody like me. I can't get out there and walk among you sober. I haven't been able to since I was 12 years old, since I found the magic for me. Right? So, drinking, I mean, I got this big barrel of emotions inside me, and swimming around up on top, I got all kinds of feelings. I don't know anybody that feels one feeling for a few days, gets a little bored with that feeling, starts feeling something else. I mean, it just kind of washes over you. It comes and goes. I've probably felt 5 or 6 different feelings since I came into this room. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, I haven't seen that person in a long time. I love that person. This is a wonderful, that's just great. Look, that guy, I talked to that guy earlier. It's a pretty nice guy. Jesus Christ, there's a lot of people in here. You know, I'm nervous. You know what I mean? Whose story am I telling? Mine. Right. She's very attractive. Let's not get into that. All right, let's go here. All right, just bouncing around the room. I can drink through that stuff in nothing flat. Way down at the bottom of that emotional barrel for me is fear, the deep undercurrent that runs my ass day after day after day. Fear, and that's what I'm drinking at, and that's the reason I'm not a social drinker. Because fear is the last thing I'll feel. So I got to get drunk to get the job done. I can't have a couple of glasses of wine with dinner and kill the fear. I can't do it. I got to get drunk. So I got drunk the first time I ever drank, and I got drunk the last time I ever got drunk. I mean, just the last time I ever drank. I mean, just all across the board. Drunk. Because drunk is the only thing that works for me. Anyway, 16, I decided that I had 4.5 years of Latin. That was enough for me. So I dropped out of boarding school. My father steps back in my life, says, you've gone insane, commits me to my first mental institution. They signed me up for 3 months of observation, a year of rehabilitation. I think this is a bit excessive. All right, so I start doing the dance in there. I try to escape. You got to at least make one break for it, right? You got to. And I'm not taking my 3 cups of pills a day and shuffling around in this joint. I'm planning my escape. I'm looking around. You know what I mean? They got the exit. They got a red exit sign all lit up. They had green ones in this nut house, right? And I remember looking at that and going, well, there it is. It's all I want. I want to exit. So I'm having my meals with this woman named Kilday, who was completely nuts. And Kilday, all you had to do to get Kilday flipped out was look at her and say, hey, Kilday, how you doing? Kilday. Wow! Kilday would flip, right? And all the staff would lunge for Kilday, you know what I mean? So I got my thing. I mean, every meal was like dinner and a show, you know what I mean? You get your little meal with your plastic utensils, you flip out Kilday, and just watch the staff run around trying to get. So I'm sitting there minding my own business, and I'm going to use Kilday as my diversion to get out, to make my break, right? So I flip Kilday out, and Kilday goes flying off in that direction. I'm ready, go! Yeah? And I'm hauling ass, you know what I mean? That's all I got. That's it. And it's a shocking thing when you go to make your move and it's just not there. The arms are working, the whole thing, you know what I mean? You're looking down like, oh, shit. And over the loudspeaker system from the nurse's station, you hear, Ed, when you got a minute, you want to grab Earl? He's making a break for the door. And Ed's in there having a sandwich going, yeah, I'll get him. He ain't going nowhere. Oh, they're working. Back to the room with no doorknob. Then I finally got out of there. They threw a net over me again. They threw me back in the nut house. I escaped the first day. Got to get out before they get the Thorazine in you, right? So I escaped the first day. And spent 3 years on the street doing what you do to stay loaded on a daily basis. It's not a pretty picture, right? 19 years old, I'm at a party. I meet this woman. We talked for 20 minutes. It went very well, so we were in love. So I said, let us build a life together based upon this 20 minutes. And she said, makes perfect sense to me. So we hooked up, and I went on an interview to a business college in Northern California. Very good college. And how we are, you know what I mean? The guy was a musician, so I was a musician. His favorite color was blue? That's astonishing. My favorite color is blue. I mean, just lined up with this guy, and an hour and a half later, I'm going to be a fine addition to their campus in the fall. So we pile all our belongings and 8 pounds of hash in this truck to drive to Northern California to higher learning. She gets a straight job. I'm going to college. Transcripts are in the mail. I'm going to night school to get my high school diploma because I'm a high school dropout. Right? I'm in college. I'm going to high school. She's got a straight job. I become a drug dealer. I mean, I have no problem becoming a drug dealer because I have no sense of family, no sense of community. I have no morals or ethics. I'm just a loose child running around the planet, right? I mean, my drug business is, I'm studying marketing, production, distribution at school. My business is booming. I got international clients. I mean, this is terrific, right? The fact that every day I'm doing things every day that could cost me 30 years of my life, right? This is not a problem for me, right? I'm going to be dead soon anyway. Why the hell not, right? So I'm blasting along through this stuff. 20 years old, I had to move her. I had to move. Lovely Rosemary had to be moved back to L.A. because she was just not working out. I mean, she was saying things to me like, "I'm too high." Well, if you can say it, it's not true. You know what I mean? So we just moved her back to L.A. She was glad to go. I was starting to scare her, right? And I'm using the way I want to use, and I go get a physical. I had to get a physical for some reason. Turns out I've got malignant cancer. Well, of course I do, right? So I fly back to L.A. They do major surgery on my upper back. They put me in the nuclear medicine program. They prepare my family for me to die. They tell me I'm going to die. And I look at them and I go, you know what? You don't even know who you're talking to. I mean, little do you know, but the way I'm using, that's coming up like twice a week, you know? You're not really scaring me by saying I might die. I've been hearing that a lot lately, you know? Because I'm starting to overdose and take the ambulance rides and get the stomach pumped and do all the, all that stuff that you do. I'm watching my language because Mom's here. Not my mom. His mom, Mandy. Very nice to have you here. That's Mom, Mandy. And so I do that thing, and I do the nuclear medicine thing, and their drugs really suck, so I just stopped going, and I went and got loaded the way I get loaded, and I'm a long-term cancer survivor. And I thoroughly believe it's because the way I was using in those days, my body had become so toxic, cancer could not live in my body. There's a woman over here who just went, "Oh." That's just a terrible thing to say. Oh, stick around. It was so long term. I have had no bouts of cancer for 29 years. Anyway, I never really think of myself as a cancer survivor because, I mean, compared to alcoholism, that was a snap. Anyway, I went on, got out of there and went back up to school. I'm a junior in college. I got a high school diploma. I got an early acceptance to law school. I'm editor-in-chief of my college newspaper. I'm writing inflammatory political articles. They're going to kick me out any minute. And I'm just like, at the world. And I'm just using like a madman. And my mother calls me and says, "Look, we haven't been anywhere as a family in 10 years. We'll go anywhere you want to go. Let's just go as a family. We got to put this family back together." And she's crying and doing all those mother things that you can't get around, right? So I said, "Fine." So on my 22nd birthday, I flew back the night before, and I was having one of those mornings where, they just did a little too much cocaine, Can't get your mouth open anymore. Got the full, mandibular lockdown going on. Can't drink enough to get it loosened back up. But I mean, that's the great thing. But before I get into that whole thing, I want to say, I talk about drugs, and I've identified as an alcoholic. And I want you to know that's not a disrespectful thing on my part. I'm a child of the 60s, okay? We were very, very focused on the drugs. We were carving out our own identity. Our parents were the alcoholics. We were not going to drink ourselves to death as our parents were doing. We were going to kill ourselves in an entirely new way. This was the plan, so we were focused on the drugs. But the drugs, like I said, my drug of choice was, what do you got? I mean, the drugs would come and go, but there was only one thing that was on the table every single day, and that's alcohol. Alcohol was on the table every single day. And I think the reason for that's very simple. Drugs are completely unreliable. I mean, there's no quality control going on out there. You don't know what you get till you get it in your body, right? You go get yourself a Jack Daniels, a quart of good gin, you know what you got here. This is reliable stuff. So you do so much cocaine, 7:30, you got the jaw lockdown happening, you're just, right? And it's 7:30 and the party just started, you've completely overshot the mark one more time. You don't worry about it, you suck a little gin through your teeth, you'll loosen right up and go on with the party, you're fine. Not enough heroin to get you to just heart and lungs working, That Don't worry, Jack will get you the rest of the way. I mean, I prefer down and out. I like to go down. I prefer this. Heroin, barbiturates, alcohol. These are a few of my favorite things. This is the place I like to go. That's what I like. My idea of a good night sitting around checking my pulse. You know what I mean? Just, yeah, here's another one. It's good. That's a good night. But you don't have any heroin? I'll take a big bag of the cocaine, please. Let's go up. Can't go down? Let's go up. Fine. Want to drive around all night decoding license plates? Sure. You know, sitting around listening to the air around my head? Yeah, sounds like a good plan. I understand there's some methamphetamine addicts in the room this evening, which is always a good plan. You know, here's what I'd like. I'm just going to pee on this live wire, all right? And while I'm doing that, just smash me in the face with a shovel, will you? Because I kind of like the way that feels. And just do it over and over again. It's like, good. And then when I wake up, we'll do it again. But I mean, if I can't go down, I'll go up, because it's up or down is not really the point as far as I'm concerned. The point is, I got to get out of right here, right now. Because right here, right now, I'm self-centered and I'm afraid. Right here, right now, I'm comparing my insides to your outsides and I'm losing every time. I can't seem to measure up, right? But I get high, I'm in the game. I can participate at least on that level. So that's the level I'm going to participate on. I have to be medicated. It's become like breathing for me. So by the time I'm 21 years old, about to turn 22, I'm a raging drug addict and alcoholic. I had a guy refer to me as an alcoholic when I was 16 and a half. And my response was, what's your point? You know, you go your way, I'll go mine. This is what I do. This is how I function. This is how it's possible for me to be in the world and not locked down in a nut house somewhere. This is how I make it out of the house. If that's a problem for you, then just step off. I'm going this way. So my mother calls me and says, we got to go as a family on this trip. I say, fine. I fly back to L.A., and on my 22nd birthday, we take off the flight to Guadalajara, and on the way there, the plane crashes. And my mother, my father, my little sister all died in the crash, and I didn't, at least physically. I woke up on a mountain in Mexico, and my skull was fractured, my back was broken in 3 places, I had a crushed arm, a crushed leg, I was paralyzed from the waist down, I had a lot of internal injuries. The only thing I could move was my right arm, and I was awake. And I'm laying on this mountain, and my mother's laying right over there, my little sister, whose name was Kimberly, is laying right over there, and my father's laying right over there. And I can't get to any of them to help them. So I just had to lay there and watch them all bleed to death in front of me. And I had a little chat with God, and I said, you know what, any God that would take a kind, gentle, loving creature like my little sister Kimberly and leave a lying, cheating, thieving, dope fiend alcoholic like me on the planet, I have no use for a God of this type, and I renounced God. And then some guys came up and they scavenged the plane wreck. They took whatever they could find of value. They took my wallet, took the money out of my wallet, threw it back on my chest, and left me up there to die. So I had no more love for you either. I was out of the game. My life had been kind of like a Hollywood set. I was going to school. I was doing that little newspaper thing. You know what I mean? I was trying to make a living, build a decent drug business. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do these things so that you'll see, well, he's productive. You know? We'll get off his back. And because I needed you to stay off of me so I could drink and use the way I needed to drink. Well, after that moment on that mountain, man, I watched those people die, and I thought, you know what? I have a profound hatred for God, and I've been so afraid of you for so long, I feel a profound hatred for you as well. I'm out of the game, man. I don't need to do anything anymore to convince you I'm okay, because I don't really give a shit what you think. I'm out. I'm out. I'm going to drink, I'm going to get down off this goddamn mountain, and I'm going to drink and use the way I want to. And you don't like it? Just park it. Move off. You got alcohol, drugs, sex, money, information on how I can get any or all of the above. Let's talk. You don't? Get out of my way. I have no interest in you. I do not want to get to know you, all right? I don't want to be your friend. And my parents knew me better than anybody in the world, and they threw me away. Why the hell would I want to get to know you? That was pretty much my attitude. And then some guys came up and they grabbed me and they put me in the back of a flatbed truck and they put my mother in it next to me, and I held my mother's hand. They took us to an aid station. They tagged her dead. They tagged me dead, and they sat there smoking cigarettes waiting for me to die, which really pissed me off. They didn't. I didn't die. They finally took me to a hospital. They got my ID. That brought the federales, because the federales wanted to know what I was doing back in Mexico, which is another story we don't need to get into here. But for 3.5 days, they interrogated me through an interpreter and wouldn't let me, give me anything for pain. And I had a bad 3.5 days. I went to places physically and mentally and spiritually that I didn't know a human being could go to and come back from. And I finally called a buddy of mine in Northern California, called some of our associates in Mexico City, who flew in a plane, and they paid a few people, and they plastered me from the neck down and smuggled me out of Mexico, and I spent a long time in a hospital in Southern California. Came out of there strung out on Demerol. I went on my last run. It lasted for 6 years. And you got to understand, when I say I went on a run for 6 years, I mean I went on a run that was a solid 6 years. There were 3 times that I got sober. They were for 72 hours each. The only way I could do it is I knew I was dying. I'd go to this little bootleg sanitarium in Hollywood, complete bootleg illegal joint. You give them 150 cash, you give them your wallet, your car keys, your big bottle of Valium, your gun, whatever else you had. They take you in the back, strap you to a gurney, shoot you full of anticonvulsants, and let you rock. And you come out the other side of that 72 hours later, you're either alive or dead, and they send you to the morgue or home, and they didn't really care which way you went. They had their money. And I'd rock like an animal in there, hurting so bad, kicking like a dog. And I'd reintroduce myself to God and say, you know what? You get me out of this sane and alive, because both seem to be in question. I will never, ever, ever, ever drink or use again as long as I live. I can't take the madness. I can't take the pain. My ass is kicked. I'm done. And I meant it with every fiber of my being. And they'd let me up that gurney, and I'd go walk out. They'd give me my car keys and my wallet, and my gun, and my Valium, and they'd say, now, Earl, you know you're an alcoholic. You be a good boy and don't drink anymore. I'd say, no, ma'am, not me. My ass is kicked. I'm an alcoholic, and I know it. I'm a drug addict. I know it. For me to drink is to die. But I didn't know what alcoholism was. I didn't know what I was up against. I'd walk out the door and say, I'm shaking like a dog, man. So I'd take, 50 milligrams of Valium to get the shake off. And I'd come to in a different city 4 days later, having no idea how it happened again. I'm that guy in the book, man, pounding on the bar. What the hell happened? I didn't want to do this again. I don't want to be here. I haven't had fun in 6 years. I'm not getting high. I'm feeding the beast. That's all I'm doing, is feeding the beast, man. And he's kicked my ass. Came out of my, got war stories forever. Who doesn't? Woke up in my last blackout, and here was the picture. I had hair out like this. I had a beard out like this. I was yellow. I was psychotic, and I don't use the term loosely. Could not distinguish between the true and the false, fantasy and reality. I was just mad. My heart was swollen. Couldn't touch the liver or the kidneys. Bad news, man. Bad news. Both my hands were broken. I'd broken 74 bones. I had over 650 stitches in me. I'd been stabbed twice, shot at. The violence had been insane. My family was dead. I had no friends. I had no place else left to live. They were deciding whether or not to charge me with attempted murder. Again. And I had the moment of clarity. And you know what? None of that stuff mattered. I can drink and use in the face of all that. What happened was that I had the moment of clarity, and that was, I'm not connected to another human being on the face of the earth. And that's a direct result of my behavior. The FBI didn't do this to me. My father didn't do this to me. God didn't do this to me. This is on me. And I'm the one that's going to have to do something about it. And I raised up 2 busted hands and I said, help. And they called an ambulance. The ambulance came and got me. I had my stomach pumped so many times I could talk to you while you did it. And they took me to the ambulance. They pumped my stomach at UCLA Emergency, and they said, get him out of here. He's a pathetic old man drunk, and he's going to die. I was 27 years old. Took me by ambulance to another place. I stayed 3 days. I got worse. They took me by ambulance to another place. I did 12 more days of detox and 30 days on a free bed. And I came out of there and they said to me, you don't want to die, you better go to AA, Earl, because it's the only place a guy like you's got a chance to live. And I said, okay. I had been beaten to death by my disease because I was never going. I was going to drink and use till I died. And good riddance and thank you. But I had the moment of clarity, thank you God, that said, you know what? You don't have to die. And it doesn't have to be like what you've known up to now. Because, see, I just thought it was going to be more of the same. I didn't know. This can be different. Life, the experience of being alive on this planet can be fundamentally different than anything I had ever known up to that point. And I said, okay, We seem to be at the fork in the road here. Either I'm going to continue to blot out the intolerable nature of my existence, or I'm going to accept life, spiritual aid. I'm going to have to get some help, a plan based on a spiritual way of life. So I came into the back of an AA meeting. It was a Friday night, basement of a church. Sat down in the back with my arms folded, with my best tough guy look on my face, mad dogging everybody. It's like, what do you want? You know? You don't want to talk to me. You don't even want to be looking at me. Because I'm not here to be your pal. I'm not here to get to know you, you know? Don't plan on coming back, all right? I'm here to burglarize your conversation, find out what the juice is, who's got the power. I already know where the doors and windows are. Just the way my head works. I'm going to find out what you've got going on in here, and I'm stepping off and taking it with me. Because there's no way I can get to know you because you look like reasonable people. And if I tell you the things I have done in my life, you're going to ask me to leave because that's what reasonable people would do. So there's no way I can get to know you. So let's just agree to just not talk, you know, and I'll listen. Because apparently this is the last house on the block for me. Aren't we all thrilled to hear that? And they were like, but every meeting's got a new guy who's just caught fire with AA, and here comes this new guy with 9 months. His name is Vegas. I just ran into him in a conference up in Northern California a couple of months ago. Vegas comes coming at me. I'm mad. I'm throwing this guy serious signals, right? Oh, do not come talk to me. Because you're all shiny with your little shiny haircut and your little slacks on, you know, and you're smiling, and I hate that. Nothing to throw this guy off. He just saw a new guy. Right? Here he goes. He says, hi, I'm Vegas. I'm an alcoholic. And I said, so what, Vegas? Ain't exactly the highlight of my life. I don't know what you're so thrilled about. Get away from me. And he looks at me and he goes, keep coming back. And there's like 3 little AA guys over here that all went, ooh, did you hear that? Told them to keep coming back. Nice one, Vegas. And I'm looking at all of them like, you saps, I can't believe I'm listening to this shit. Yeah, thanks, Vegas. That's beautiful. Deep spiritual significance to that, I'm sure. You seem to all know what it is. I don't. Once again, we pointed out the fact that I'm the loser and don't fit in. Loving your program so far, fellas. I'm sure when I go home tonight and I'm pacing the room, ready to kill myself for several other people, that little keep coming back thing's really going to help. If you're new and they do that to you, I hope you have more courage than I did. Step up to the plate. When they say that, you know, the little slogans, keep coming back, one day at a time. Or my personal favorite, hey, just turn it over, all right? And you're new, like you're supposed to get that, right? Say, excuse me, I don't understand the deep spiritual significance of just turn it over. Would you mind expanding on that for me a little bit? Where I got sober, if they're honest, about 75% of them would say, you know, I don't know what it means either. They said it to me when I got here. I'm just saying it to you. I don't really know what's going on. There's a guy over there who reads the big book. Let's go ask him. Maybe he knows. And that's the thing that blows my mind, is that you can be in these rather large meetings, and somebody will say, we've got a guy who reads the big book. Let's go talk to him. Like the sober alcoholic who's reading the big book is rather unique. It's disturbing, man. So if you're wondering what those little things mean, get a big book, actually read it. They're in there. One of them's right up on the wall. Yep, there it is. So I'm sitting in my first AA meeting, not happy. Old-timer gets up, shares his experience, strength, and hope. I don't know that's what he's doing. Now I understand what that is. But he talks openly and honestly about his feelings as a man. He talks about waking up in the morning with his head just on him. It's like alarm goes off, his eyes open up, and his head says, we're glad you finally woke up. We've been waiting several hours for you. We've got a few things we want to go over. First of all, you're a miserable piece of shit, and you're never going to amount to anything, and there's really no point in your getting up. Number 2, and he's like getting up out of the bed going, thanks for sharing with me. Takes a shower, goes to work, gives him an honest day's work, goes and gets something to eat, goes to an AA meeting, doesn't go to an AA meeting to see what they've got for him, because he's worked the 12 steps as outlined in the big book. He's had a spiritual awakening as the result of working these steps. He's been restored to sanity, soundness of mind, relieved of the obsession to drink. He's been restored to sanity, He's catching a buzz sober. He goes to the meeting to give to the meeting, to be there for the newcomer, because he understands that the only reason we have a meeting is to have a place where a newcomer can come and hear a message of hope and recovery. Oh. So he goes and he actually does that. Goes home, gets in bed, head chewing on the whole day, no wreckage. Now I'm sitting in the back with a look of disdain on my face, like, yeah, right. Thinking to myself, oh my God, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Because me, I wake up, wreckage. It just happens. It just starts happening. Because if I'm awake, I'm frightened. Or I'm loaded. Either way, wreckage. Gonna have wreckage. This guy gets through a whole day using these tools he found in AA. Interesting. And then he looks at me and he goes, you know what? I don't care whether you like what I got to say or not. You don't like it? Go to another meeting. Maybe you'll hear somebody else you can identify with. And I love that. Because it made it clear to me this guy's sharing something with me. He's not selling me on it. He's sharing it with me. If I want it, I can have it. It's for free. I don't want it? No problem. Go to another meeting. Maybe you hear somebody you can hook up there. I thought, this is cool and I'm coming back. Little did I know I was going to stay this long. If I don't do anything stupid, November 6th, I'll have 22 years of sobriety. And I couldn't stay sober for a day. Not one day. I couldn't stay sober for a day. I quit using thousands of times. I mean, as I'm sitting at the table and I'm about to go over, I'm thinking, this has got to stop. But every time my head came back up off the table, I had a whole new agenda. Because my body was talking. Come on, get moving. We got to get some. We got to get some. We got to keep moving. You're below the line. Got to feed the beast, boy. Got to feed the beast. Get moving. Get moving. And I would go. Here, I haven't had to do that. And because I got lucky. I found the guys who had gone before me who had done the real deal. The guys who knew they had to catch the big buzz or they weren't going to stay. The guys that knew the only way a guy like me is going to stay sober, because this ain't about stopping. It's about how do I stay stopped. The only way I'm going to stay stopped is if I can get comfortable, clean, and sober. The only way I'm getting comfortable, clean, and sober is if I get relieved of the obsession of the mind. I cannot have that beast whispering in my ear all day, every day, because at some point, the shit's going to hit the fan, man. It's life on life's terms, and I'm going to find out I ain't in charge of the fan. And it's going to hit, and I'm going to be at a low point, and I'm just going to say that terrible little addict prayer. I can't say it in here. Mom's here. Anyway, I'll tell you afterwards. I'm going to say, screw it, all right? And I'm going to be high in 20 minutes. And there won't be anything that'll stop me because the obsession of mine, that beast has been whispering in my ear. I can't do that. It'll do it in a meeting. I've had the beast whisper in my ear in an AA meeting where I have a commitment with my sponsor standing right over there, sweeping up after an AA meeting. I'm sweeping up Ohio Street. Beast. How you doing, Earl? You're having a bad day, I can see that. I don't know what it is. You're a good guy. Oh, you're a nice guy. You're a good guy. You're a wonderful guy. And people have been treating you like shit all day long, and I don't understand why. It's a cruel, ugly world. I don't know why they're so disrespectful, and I can see that this has got you very, very stressed out, Earl. And we know. Stress is very unhealthy, Earl. But I'm here for you. I love you. I'm always here for you. I've never left you. I'm always here for you. I always will be. Don't you know that, Earl? Don't you? Don't you? Don't you? So, here's what I suggest we do. And may I say, Earl, let's just keep this between you and me. Now, here's where we're going to go. We're going to go out and we're going to have a couple of drinks. Take it easy. This time, it will be today. Open, in public, with a glass, and everything. We're going to have a couple of drinks, and we're going to unwind that spring inside, get the stress off you, and we're going to talk this through, and we're going to work this out, because I'm here for you, Earl. I'm here for you. I love you. I love you. I'm here for you, and I love you. And then we're going to come back to AA, and no one needs to know this. We're in, we're out, we're in. It's just very good. We'll be right back. Nobody needs to know. We're going to be fine. Just trust me on this. It's going to be all right. And I'm sweeping up Ohio Street going, well, yeah. So what I do then is I go have a couple of drinks. I activate the physical phenomenon of craving. It's on. I woke that beast up. I woke him up. Got a whole new voice now going, whoa, good to be back. Now get yourself a piece of paper and a pencil, Earl, and write a few things down. And grab the car keys, because we're on our way downtown, brother. Don't you know it? And I'm like, okay. Have you ever had that? You're driving to the connection or you're driving to the bad place, and your head's going, what are you doing? And the only honest answer you can give is, I don't know, talk to him, man. I'm just a driver. And it's on, and my life is up for grabs one more time. I got to get the beast. I got to get rid of the beast. That's why I love I talk about this all the time, right? Every once in a while I'll be sending a meeting and some guy will want to share, and I'll say, well, and he'll go, Beast's talking to me right now, and I just look at his face, and his eyes just kind of go like that when he says it, because the Beast just went, hey, 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 hey! I said between you and me. You're talking about it in an AA meeting? What are you, nuts? You're going to pull this shit? I'm not talking to you anymore. A little crazy over here. I love those guys. I love the guys that come and tell the truth. Bob, alcoholic. Hi, Bob. What do you got to say for us? Well, first of all, screw all of you. I hate AA. I hate you. You in particular. I really hate you. Your steps suck. Your coffees suck. Your meetings suck. Your book is pathetic. Thanks for letting me share. The whole meeting does that. They go, all right, Bob. I love Bob. You know why? Bob felt like that at home. Bob got his ass off the couch, got in the car, drove to the meeting, and did what? Told the truth. He told the truth. I'm looking at Bob. Everybody's looking at Bob going, shame about Bob. I'm sitting there thinking, I don't think so. I think Bob's doing all right. Bob's all right. He's pretty pissed off about being here. I think that's reasonable. I was pretty pissed off. I said, excuse me, did you say AA? I got to go to AA? Are you insane? Go to AA? Oh, AA? Not AA. Nobody wants to come here. Bob's pissed. What a shock. Let Bob be here. So I come in the meetings and I'm listening, and they go, get a sponsor. I said, fine, what's the sponsor? And they said, somebody who's got what you want. I said, well, I personally would like to drink. So maybe it's a little early to be throwing the ball back in my court. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I need a sponsor who's got what he wants. Personally, I think that's a much better idea. So I went and got a sponsor that I got a vicious sponsor. I got the late, great Donald Madden to sponsor me. Donald Madden, the man who saved my life. Donald Madden, bigger than life. Donald Madden, committed to 23 mental institutions. The only man I've ever met who was evicted from the nut house. Because they went to him and they said, you have to go now. If you don't go now, you're never going to leave. You're going to be one of the ones that we just put out and get him a little sun every now and then wheel him back in. You got to go. They threw him out of the nut house. He ended up in AA, and he was there to save my life. And when I went up to this crazy, insane, wonderful human being, and I said, because I wanted what he had. You know what he had? I had a passion for living. He had a passion for every day. He was excited and thoroughly involved and focused in this moment of this day. Donald Madden could get in here. He could get right in there and stay there. Astonishing person, right? And I went to him and asked him to sponsor me. I said, and Donald in his subtle way said, what? And I said, will you sponsor me? He said, yes. And you don't have to like it, and you don't have to think it's a good idea. You just have to do it. And I went, all right. I'm not sure I know what that means, but okay. So Donald would call me every once in a while and tell me we were going to an ANA meeting. He'd call me up and say, we're going to Ohio Street. The meeting's at 8:30. We'll see you there at 8. Click. But this man never asks me anything. He never called and said, Earl, how do you feel about going to an AA meeting? Earl, would it be all right with you if you'd go pick up Ed on the corner of 6th and Santa Monica and bring him to the meeting? Would it be okay with you, Earl? Apparently, Donald Madden was not interested in my opinion. So he just called to inform me of today's activities. The scariest one was I had this little one-room apartment where if you went outside on the catwalk and stood up on the wrought iron railing and went like this, you could see like that much of the ocean. So I, of course, had an apartment with an ocean view. And I had my little one-room apartment, and I had, in those days, you had answering machines and a phone, separate little items. And I had it set up so you never heard the phone ring. The ringer was off, and you didn't hear the outgoing message. You'd be in the apartment, and you just hear beep, and somebody talking. Right? So I'm in my apartment. It's like 7 o'clock in the morning. I've been asleep for an hour. I'm laying on the bed, and I hear beep, wake up! I went from laying there to just Donald, and he said, we're having a day. Get up and get out there. Click. And I thought, oh my God, they have bed checks in AA. They check to see if you're still in bed. He was astonishing. He was just there all the time. There. You need a job. Show up. He had a factory. He had rented this factory, right? He was doing hand-painted fabric stuff, right? And he said, the factory needs painting. I said, I don't know what to do. He said, paint the factory. All right. So me and these guys, we got all these like, brand new sober guys. All of us nuts. Got scaffolding and spray rigs. And we're like 50 feet off the ground. You know what I mean? Guys holding poles. We're up there, spraying. We paint the outside of the factory, and I'm getting terrified because when this painted, what do we do now? We finished the outside and went to him and said, it's painted. He said, paint the inside. Oh, good. Okay. We go and we paint the inside of the factory. Daddy goes, you know how to paint, go get a job. And I went, nice. I became a house painter my first couple of years sober. I never took a chip. I didn't take a cake till I was 3 years sober. I didn't say a word in AA until I was 2.5. I talked to Donald Madden and did everything that he said. Until at 2.5 years of sobriety, he said, you're the first speaker Saturday night on Ohio Street. And I thought it was drink or do it. So I did it. And my emotional sobriety began because I walked through fear. Sober. I was willing to go to any lengths. I knew it. I got on an airplane and flew again because I'd been asked to speak somewhere in AA, and it was the only thing that would get me on a plane. It was Alcoholics Anonymous. I have more frequent flyer miles than any other frightened flyer on the planet. Because I have to face my worst fear to be there for AA, so I get to know. I get to face my worst fear. I get to get on a plane Friday the 13th, American Airlines to New York, right? Where you get on and they say, well, for the next 72 hours, we've got heightened security, so no one is to get out of their seat for the first 30 minutes. No one is to get out of their seat for the last 30 minutes of the flight. And the guy actually says, if you do, it won't be pretty. I need clarification on that. So we're flying. I hit the thing, and the lady comes, and I said, when we're landing, can you give me a little warning on the 30-minute thing? Because I'm terrified and probably will be peeing several times on this flight. It would be best if I'm in the bathroom when this occurs. She says, okay. No joke. About an hour out of New York, the guy says, I have your attention, we've had a request. If you got any business to take care of, you've got 30 minutes to do it, and then the 30-minute thing will be on. And I went, yeah, right. All of us jump up and head for the bathroom. I got to fly. I got to do all that and not worry about, I worry about all of it. I accept my own death every time I get on a plane. That's what I have to do. But I'm willing to do that for Alcoholics Anonymous. Not because I'm a good guy. Because I don't want to die drunk. I don't want to die drunk. I sponsor a legion of guys. The late, great Donald Madden died of a heart attack and broke my heart. I was lost. And we were waiting there for them to come get the body, and I heard his voice in my head, and he said, get a sponsor, you little son of a bitch. And I went, okay. And I thought of a man that I knew Donald loved and respected Donald. I called him up and said, Donald's dead, will you be my sponsor? He said, yeah. And he was my sponsor for 6 years, and now I've got Luther. And Luther's my sponsor. And I have somebody that I defer to every day. He asks me to do something, I just do it. Because I have to remain the student here. The humility is the willingness to learn. I've got to have that. I got to be willing to work those 12 steps and know what that triangle is about. The pin that Ava gave me. The triangle with the circle, an ancient spiritual symbol that stands for mind, body, and spirit brought together as a whole human being. Therein lies the balance I've sought, but never had drunk or sober. Unity is the body, I must bring it here. I couldn't get sober, but we seem to be able to together. Okay? The recoveries of the mind, the greater aspect of my disease. If I'm going to get comfortable, clean, and sober, I got to be relieved of the obsession of the mind. That's what the 12 steps are for. That's what they're designed to do. Step 1 is what's the problem? Lack of power. What's the solution? Step 2, a power greater than myself that can restore me to sanity. Step 3 is a decision to turn my will and my life over to care of that power greater than myself, whether I understand it or not. It's irrelevant. 4 and 5, the action plan begins to make that happen. 4 and 5 is me, 6 and 7 is God, and 8 and 9 is you. Nobody else to play with. 4 and 5 swallow large chunks of truth about myself. 6 and 7, ask God to remove the defects of character that are so evident in 4 and 5. Ask God to do it because I'll remove the wrong stuff. 8 and 9, make direct amends. You. It's about you. Very sorry, here's your money back in the house. Simple. 10, 11, and 12, me, God, and you. Same thing. Keep me in the game. 10, I continue to look at my side of the street. And when I'm wrong, clean it up. 11, I seek God through prayer and meditation. I pray for knowledge of His will for me, the power to carry that out, and I meditate to quiet the mind so that when the answers come, I can hear them. 12, having had a spiritual awakening is the result of the steps, the whole point, to be restored to sanity, soundness of mind, make it possible for a guy like me to be comfortable, clean, and sober. I can practice these principles and carry the message. I can help. How can I help? Not because I'm a good guy, but because I've been taught that's the only way I will ever know peace as a man. It's the only way I will know any dignity or grace as a human being. It's the only way I'm going to be able to get in between those. Right here, right now, because there's no other place for me to have the life that I want. I got to be right here, right now. I got to not be going down. I got to not be going up. I got to be comfortable, free here. What I've discovered is the place that I was most afraid of, right here, right now, is where the big buzz is. That's where life is. That's where I connect with other human beings. That's where I connect with the spiritual presence in my life. That's where I find purpose and value. That's where I catch the power that I need to go out in the world and lead an exceptional life. Because that's what I want. I want an exceptional life. I don't want an okay life. I don't want to live. When I was out there, I didn't want a little itty-bitty baby buzz. I was never one of those guys that said, no, thank you, I've had enough. No. I want the big buzz. I want the same thing in here. It's the only way I'm going to stay clean, is if I can catch a buzz clean. I got to get above the line. I can't be spending all my time feeding the beast. Got to break free. Got to walk the earth a free man. And I'm here to tell you, my experience is that's not only possible, it's vital. It's amazing how we're the ones that just tear the earth apart. We're the ones that are the heartbreaking people. We're the ones that even the physicians don't want to deal with us, and their thing is to care for the sick and ailing. That's their whole gig. And they don't want anything to do with us because they call us the heartbreaking people. We break their hearts like we do everybody else. That's what I come from. And we can't get sober and lead mediocre lives. We got to go ahead and lead the exceptional life. We got to go from one extreme to the other. We got to go lead the exceptional life. We got to catch the big buzz. We got to break free. We got to be of service to others. We got to give it away or we don't get to keep it. I'm forced to live beyond anything I was possible of living. So if you think Alcoholics Anonymous is about not drinking and using, I would respectfully suggest it's a whole hell of a lot more than that. It is a design for living, and it's powerful. It's made for people like me who can't stand the idea of living a moderate life. That it must be something powerful and it must have juice to it. It's got to have a buzz. If you're new, come catch a buzz. Come catch a buzz. It's different in here. Out there, you get the buzz up front and you pay later. In here, you pay now and the buzz gets bigger. That's good news, let me tell you, because out there, best dope I ever shot was the first time I stuck a needle in my arm. Best buzz I ever got off alcohol was that cheap red wine behind that dormitory. First buzz, I chased the tail of that dragon for 16 years. In here, you get no buzz. Welcome to no buzz. And you work your ass off for your little no buzz. Then you get your 30-day chip and you get itty-bitty buzz. You work your ass off for that. Then you get a 60-day chip and you get a little bit bigger buzz. You're still working, though. The lines cross in the exact opposite in here. The longer you stay sober, the bigger the buzz can be, and the less you're going to have to work to get it. Because the same 12 steps that I practiced as a newcomer are the same 12 steps that I work today. And I don't have to struggle to figure out which one to get after because I know what I got to do. I can just jump it. So the pain is less, it doesn't last as long, and the good times just seem to roll on. Because I can take life on life terms now, because that's what I expect to have happen, is life on life terms. And it's a wonderful, joyous ride. If you're new, please stay. Give this thing a shot. Do this thing. Catch this buzz. Earn your seat and walk the earth a free man. No longer a slave to drugs and alcohol. It's a beautiful path, and I hope you stick with it. I'm going to do my best. Thank you. Peace.